Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan. Once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Till now we have done about 8 videos for the analysis for the year 2020, starting from Aries until Scorpio. Today I am going to discuss with you the results or the probable results that we can expect for the year 2020 for the sign of Sagittarius. Now these results or probable results that we are discussing are from a Vedic astrology point of view, which means that for those people who have their horoscope having the first house of the ascendant as Sagittarius according to Vedic astrology, for those people. However, the results will also resonate very strongly for those who consider themselves to be strong Sagittarian from a sun sign perspective, and also for those people who have a moon sign Sagittarius, which means moon is placed in Sagittarius in your horoscope. So for all these three, these results will resonate strongly, but strongest for those who according to Vedic astrology have Sagittarius as the ascendant. So let's quickly start our analysis. Now at the start of the year, for Sagittarius folks, you will have 5 planets in your ascendant itself. Now for Sagittarius natives, the last 2 years you have had, more than 2 years you have had Saturn placed in the Lagna. Okay, and so if somebody tells me, the Sagittarius person tells me that life has been very boring since the last 1 year or so and nothing much has moved in spite of all my efforts, I better believe him, because Saturn placed in the Lagna, and since March Ketu has also joined Saturn in the Lagna. So both Saturn and Ketu are negation planets or denying planets or stopping the results of a house, especially because Saturn in Sagittarius in Jupiter's sign doesn't give the best of results. So definitely some of you or a lot of Sagittarius natives have had boring time. Not much has happened for them in spite of the effort. Second, for some of you, in spite of your efforts, suddenly certain things have happened. And suddenly things have hit you out of the blue without realizing, why is this happening to me? So that has also happened with some Sagittarius natives. So this is primarily these two things. Either very, very boring life where nothing much has happened in spite of your effort, or contrary to your effort, other things have happened which were unplanned, unseen and unexpected. Those have also happened. And for some of you, if Saturn has been strong in your horoscope, in your natal chart, in your birth chart, then probably things have moved in the last 1 year or so, but not to the extent that you would expect. And so generally what happens is with Saturn in the Lagna, especially if it's not very strong and if it's not in its own sign or an exaltation sign, then there is no Sasha Yoga. If it's Sasha Yoga, then it's a different thing. It's all to a different dimension, and it's a different results also for people who have a Sasha Yoga. But here, with Saturn in the Lagna, if generally for all signs where it is not in Sasha Yoga, that means it is not Saturn's own sign or exaltation sign, which is Libra, then Saturn tends to slow down the results for the native many times. Now this happens more stronger if Saturn is there in the Lagna, in the horoscope itself, in the natal horoscope. But in transit also, Saturn manifests its results very, very strongly basis what houses its rules or what its rulership is. Now for Sagittarius natives, Saturn rules both the second house and the third house. Now the third house is considered also the house of life to some extent, because third house is the house of effort, self-enterprise and energy which it brings in, and it's also Kama Bhav. It's also Kama Bhav. So Kama Bhav also tend to give you a lot of energy, sexual energy, of course, also energy to manifest, to push forward, to showcase or to demonstrate your enterprise. And in the 3 Kama Bhavs, third house is able to show more effort outside of home or outside of bed. I hope you understand what I mean, outside of bed, in general life. So because Saturn rules the third house of effort and now placed in the Lagna, which means that the effort has to be very organized and planned, especially when Saturn transits into the second house at the end of January 2020. It is moving into its own sign. of Capricorn. And Saturn rules the second house and also rules the third house. However, Saturn's Mool Trikona sign is Aquarius, which is the third house for Sagittarius ascendant natives. So what does that mean? The sign which is the Mool Trikona sign, it exerts more power, more authority over the results of the planet, unless the other sign is the ascendant sign. So for Capricorn people, in spite of Aquarius being the second house, Saturn gives stronger results for Capricorn. However, in other ascendant signs, which are not Saturn's own sign, the Mool Trikona sign plays more role, unless Saturn sits in the other sign. So here Saturn will go and transit into the second house in Capricorn, which means Saturn is very strong in the second house. Okay. However, the Mool Trikona sign remains the third house. So which means that the more effort you put in, the more enterprise you show, the more you are able to present yourself. The third house is also the house of communication. How you present yourself, how you manifest, how you market yourself, how you brand yourself. So how much effort you make it, and organized effort that you put in, and disciplined effort you put in. So if people think you are righteous because Saturn is involved, you are ethical, you are a person of values, you are a person who will not go, will not lie, I will not drop your word, means if once you give your word, you'll honor the word, and you'll work hard, and you'll act ethically, and you'll act diligently, you'll be loyal, and you are ready to put in long hours, then the effort will pay off when Saturn goes into the second house of earnings. But Saturn again, though it rules the second house, goes there, it plays to its character, which means Saturn will tend to give you high earning or opportunity of higher earnings. Nothing is given directly by the planets. So if everything was given directly by the planet, then you would be able to sit at home and wait for the planets to act, and you could become whatever you or whoever you want to be. It's a combination of what effort you make in the direction of the opportunities given to you by the planets. So Saturn will give you definitely an opportunity to increase your earnings. However, because the third house and the second house both are involved, it means that the more effort you make to save money, accordingly Saturn will also give you better results, and your earnings will also show an upend. So anyways, the more money you save, the more earnings you can save. But here we are not talking about because you're saving more money, so your earnings are saved. You're saying there may be an opportunity to increase your earnings by either a role change at work, or an increment, or even a job change can happen, because the third house of effort is getting into the second house, which is of earnings and savings. And this may manifest more strongly when end of Mars, which rules your fifth house of gains, and also the 12th house goes into your second house. So when Mars moves into the second house, being the lord of the 12th house and the house of fifth house of gains can come in. Also the fifth house is the 8th house to the 10th house. So there could be change at job, change of role, which could end up increasing your earnings also, which is towards end of March and beginning of April. However, at the same time, what is going to happen is that beginning of April, Jupiter, with a lot of speed, almost matching the speed of Mars, is going to get into your second house. Now, while Mars gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn and gets a lot of energy, Jupiter, on the other hand, gets into its debilitation sign of Capricorn. Jupiter gets debilitated in Capricorn, so Jupiter loses all its strength. So your capability of making wise decisions, sane decisions, thought through intelligent decisions is strongly and severely affected. And Saturn being placed there is anyways absorbing the energy of Jupiter anyway. So Jupiter has to struggle. However, Jupiter is the Karaka of the second house. So Jupiter gets some strength. Plus it's the Lagna Lord also. That also helps it acquire strength. So it's a tug of war between Jupiter and Saturn, but Saturn wins the race anyways, because Capricorn is Saturn's own sign, whereas Jupiter is in the debilitation sign, which means that if you take any unwise decision, if you take less thought through, less intelligent decisions because of Jupiter's affliction, and in a hurry because of Mars being there, then your earnings, your savings could be affected because the 5th house lord is Mars is placed in the 2nd house. So an unwise decision leading to some change of job, some change of role, some loss in speculation gain, because 5th house is also the house of speculation, ending in savings getting affected, earnings getting affected. And once that result comes by, for the next 2.5 years more or so, that result will sustain because Saturn will remain in the sign of Capricorn for 2.5 years. So it may, that result will not change, or you have to put in double the effort to make that change, and that too, over a period of time, because Saturn will not allow immediate changes. So that's why it's better that between April and first week of July, between first week of April and first week of July, be very, very careful what decisions specially related to career that you take, or related to job that you take, or new opportunities that you tend to take. However, don't hurry after earnings. Don't chase earnings. Don't go for higher earnings through better role, better job. In a hurry, spoil chances. Look at more savings and do it more in an organized manner. Look at where you spend money. Work out percentages of money you save or you spend. For example, out of 100 rupees in your pocket, or what you earn, your earnings are, how much money do you spend on your food items, how much money you spend on children and the education, for example, or medicine or medication, or health-wise on health per month, how much you spend on entertainment or eating out or going for movies. So work out those percentages and then see, are you spending more percentage of money in something? So why I'm suggesting this approach? Because this works very well, because Saturn is a very organized planet. It's an ethical planet. So it likes to a duty-bound effort in the direction of that, especially the house it rules. And Saturn ruling the 2nd house of earnings and savings, and the 3rd house of effort means the more effort that you make in to get your 2nd house of earnings and savings right, the more Saturn is going to help you, especially when it is placed in the 2nd house. So have an organized effort, have a worked out effort, almost duty-bound effort towards earnings or especially savings, and work them out. And then take a decision if any decision comes, especially for career. So rather than chase earnings or go for higher earnings because of attractive offer that you get for a new job, look at whether the job is good enough for you, whether it's sustainable for you, whether it's a long term for you or not, and then go for further opportunity. So look at more long term rather than short term during this particular transit. Now, beginning of July, Jupiter will transit into Sagittarius, back again into the Lagna, and this time it will be with Ketu alone. And since November, when Jupiter transited into Sagittarius, it always had the company of Saturn, which was already placed there since more than 2 years, and Ketu was already there since March. So when Jupiter went into Sagittarius, into the ascendant, it immediately was afflicted by Saturn and Ketu's energy. Now when it retrogrades back beginning of July into Sagittarius again, this time it is only Ketu which is there. So Jupiter has to contend with only Ketu. However, Ketu is still very strong in the Lagna, especially because Ketu rules the 12th house of Scorpio, co-rules it with Mars, and now placed in the Lagna. And Jupiter is also pretty strong in the Lagna and ascendant also. However, Ketu absorbs a lot of energies of Jupiter. But because Jupiter rules both the Lagna as well as the 12th house, a lot of times you will, because of Ketu's energies, you will not be able to focus much attention on yourself, on your health, on how you come across to general people outside, even at work. And you may also not be able to take as much interest in domestic affairs, in house, in home affairs, and with children and with spouse as much as it is required. And so you will have to ensure that you take care of your health, you focus on health, you don't let up health during that time between July and September, because that is the time when some of you will not have the energy or may not have the inclination or the time to either focus on yourself, on health, on your matters of reputation, or matters of your domestic domestic happiness or domestic affairs, especially related to house, home, spouse, and so forth. So for women, if you have Jupiter's this position and Jupiter the significator of husband, please don't come harsh on husband. Please don't kill them because they showed less interest at home or with kids or you, because your husbands will go through these 3-4 months of little lackadaisical attitude, a little less interest at home, and some other things will occupy their mind, predominantly related to work. So go easy on husband. And men, if you have this placement when you're Sagittarius natives, be aware of this placement and ensure that you pay more attention to your health and give at least some time to home and spouse and kids. Excuse me, even if you are occupied more with work or work related things. This is also important because Saturn is placed in the second house while it rules the third house of enterprise, effort. So Saturn is also absorbing a lot of energy of the third house and focusing on career and earnings and savings, and through that related to work or business or career. So that definitely will manifest strongly. So be aware of that. And only post September, when Ketu retrogrades back into the 12th house, will things ease off. However, while Ketu is in the Lagna, Rahu is in the 7th house of relationship, which means that your expectations from a spouse are heightened, are higher. And till Saturn was there in the Lagna and aspecting the 7th house, Rahu was also under control. The moment Saturn transits from your Lagna into the 2nd house, now Rahu doesn't have the aspect of Saturn anymore. And Ketu is also freed up, and Saturn has moved away and Jupiter has just moved in. And when you will find that your focus on spouse has been pretty strong, or your matters of spouse have been where expectations from spouse has been strong while not being able to contribute to spouse. Or let me put it this way, you have re-looked at, some of you must have thought about, is the relationship really doing something for me? Am I happy? Or you may have some complaints against spouse also. Spouse doesn't listen to me, spouse doesn't do enough for me, spouse doesn't care enough for me. Or if you're not married but you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you may also start looking at them analytically. So when Ketu moves away from your Lagna and Rahu moves into your 6th house, you may also get some ease there, where you may relook at how the relationships are. But please look at them positively rather than looking at them harshly, especially because once Ketu goes into the 12th house and Jupiter remains in the Lagna, for the first time Jupiter has some space to breathe and is now expecting the 7th house. Better times will come for you post September. So be ready for the better times post September. This will bring in heightened attention to your health. You will be able to take wiser decisions. If some of you are trying to take up some higher courses or go for higher learning or take interest in PhDs or masters, this will be a good time. Some of you will turn a little spiritual. You will also read up some spiritual or religious books. Some of you may take journeys to spiritual places, maybe with family also. You may those months, the last months, also bring you better solace, more peace and more spirituality also. So that will also manifest. With the Rahu going into the 6th house, the career and job will be under focus. So good time for you, especially if you are working in foreign companies or with MNCs or in foreign lands. Good luck will come to you. But if you're planning to go abroad and all, so then that will slow down a bit because of Ketu being in the 12th house. However, still enough chance for you to make an attempt and go abroad beginning of 2021. But that is for some other time. So in matters of children, as 5th Lord Mars is transiting from your second house till your 5th house through the year, till your 6th house, in fact, through the year. So matters of children, matters of home, matters of domestic enterprise, matters of children's education, all will be under focus. Career, from a perspective of earnings and savings, will be under focus, and through that you may want to look for a better role or better position than anything else. So my suggestion to you is, don't chase earnings, improve your savings, but try and chase earnings indirectly through a better role and a better job, rather than jump at an offer just because your earnings are high. So don't make that mistake. So friends, this is my analysis for Sagittarius natives for the year 2020. If you're looking at for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Please like this video. Please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my new video is coming. Please subscribe to this channel. Until we meet some other time, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.